Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to hopefully give you some new meal ideas and to motivate you to cook more for your family. I tried a couple new recipes this week that I'm excited to share with you, and as always, those recipes will be linked in the description box down below. Now let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night, we had some barbecue pulled pork flatbreads. This is one of my favorite ways to use up some leftover pulled pork. So I start off with my flatbreads. I'm using some non-flatbreads, but you can use any flatbread you want. I've got them on my sheet pan. I'm going to stick them in the oven while it preheats to 425 just to get them warmed up a little bit and to get them a little bit toasty. And then I will pull them out and start topping with my toppings. I do some of my favorite barbecue sauce. We like the Kansas City style one from Aldi. And then I put on some of the leftover pulled pork. That was in last week's video if you want to see that. And then we put on some cheese. You do mozzarella, cheddar, whatever you want. I had cheddar already shredded, so that is what I used. And then these went back in the oven on 425 for 8 minutes. To go with this, we just had a salad for those of us that like salad. These flatbreads are perfect for making little pizzas. You can make like a bunch of them. I made one more when Andy came home later so you can have a fresh pizza. They're just really good. Saturday, I made $1 million baked spaghetti, which I have made in the past, and it's really good. It's just a different take on spaghetti, and if you haven't tried it, we definitely recommend it. It's definitely a family favorite. So I was doing the recipe 1.5 times, but I doubled the meat. So in my pan, I've got 1 pound of ground sausage and 1 pound of ground beef. And I just seasoned that up with a little bit of salt and pepper and cooked it till it was about halfway cooked through. And then I'm going to add in some diced onion and some minced garlic and let this just continue to cook through. Once my meat was done, I drained off any grease and then I added in 1.5 jars of pasta sauce. My favorite is the marinara from Aldi. And then I just rinsed each of those jars with a little bit of water to make sure I got all of the sauce out. And then I just let that sit on low until I was done getting everything else prepped. So while my meat was cooking, I was also cooking up 1.5 pounds of spaghetti, and then I was also mixing together this cheese mixture. So as I said, I am doing the recipe 1.5 times, but the original recipe will be linked down below so you can get measurements and everything. But in a bowl, I am mixing together some sour cream, some cottage cheese, some softened cream cheese, some Parmesan cheese, garlic powder, parsley, and pepper. Now I've got a 9x13 pan and an 8x8 pan, and I'm starting by putting some of my meat sauce in the bottom of it, and then I'm going to top that with some of the noodles, and then we're going to do all of that cheese, cottage cheese and sour cream and cream cheese mixture, and then we'll do the rest of the spaghetti, and then finally the rest of the meat sauce, and then top it with some mozzarella cheese. And then I baked this for 45 minutes at 375. So to go with our spaghetti, I made some garlic bread, and then we also had all of the stuff for salad. If you're wondering why I made so much food, it's because my sister and her boyfriend were in town from Florida. So I had them over for dinner as well as my brother. So I wanted to make sure there was plenty of food because I was feeding 3 grown men and my sister. So yeah, that was our dinner for Saturday. Sunday night, I didn't get any pictures of like us or the food. We were at my Aunt Peggy's house and she has a pool and we had a little pool party kind of thing. We went over there around noon and were there till like 7 o'clock in the evening, swimming and hanging out. My sister was there, my brother was there, and it was just a lot of fun. And so we cooked out on the grill. Peggy's husband Steve made some delicious burgers. There was hot dogs, there was brats, potato salad, chips, and I of course did not get any pictures. Monday night I tried a new crock pot recipe. This is a creamy green chili chicken enchilada casserole. I've made one before that it was like red enchilada sauce, so I was really excited to try this one. So in my crock pot, I'm going to start off by combining 1 can of cream of chicken soup, 1 can of diced green chilies, 1 10-ounce can of green enchilada sauce, some garlic, onion powder, oregano, and cumin. And then I'm going to add in a chicken breast. I only did 1 because this one was really large. And then I just kind of spooned some of that sauce over the chicken. And then I cooked this on low for about 8 hours. After the 8 hours, I took the chicken out and shredded it in a bowl on the side. And then I added in half a cup of sour cream to the crock pot and whisked everything together so that everything was nice and combined. Then I added my shredded chicken back in along with some corn tortillas that I cut into strips. I did about 10 tortillas. And then I topped this with cheese and let it sit for 15 minutes. Now, this is one of those crock pot meals that doesn't look great plated up, but it was delicious and I definitely recommend trying it if you typically like those creamy enchiladas with the green sauce. Next up, I made some creamy beef and shells. This really reminded me of like a hamburger helper recipe and it was really good. I'm starting off by bringing a pot of salted water to a boil to cook up 8 ounces of medium pasta shells. And then in my skillet, I'm heating up a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to cook my ground beef in that. I'm going to cook up 1 pound of ground beef and I seasoned that with some garlic powder, onion powder, some Italian seasoning, and some salt and pepper. When my meat was about halfway cooked through, I added in some onion and some minced garlic and just let that continue cooking. Then I added in about 2 tablespoons of flour and I mixed that around really well. It just kind of absorbed some of that grease and it's going to help thicken our sauce. And I just let that cook for about a minute. Then I added in 2 8-ounce cans of some tomato sauce and 2 cups of beef broth, and then some more of those same seasonings I used earlier to season the meat, a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, and Italian seasoning. And then I brought this to a boil, and once it came to a boil, I reduced the heat and let this simmer, stirring often for about 6 to 8 minutes until it was slightly thickened. Then I added in 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, and I didn't want to be adding cold heavy cream into this hot sauce, so I actually heated the heavy cream in the microwave for about 45 seconds just so it was a little bit warm. And then I also added in my cooked pasta. I seasoned it with a little bit more salt and pepper, and then I added in some cheese. I did a little bit of cheddar cheese and then mostly mozzarella. I just used what I had on hand already shredded up. As I said before, this reminded me of some kind of hamburger helper. So we just had some buttered bread with this because, as I've said before, like anytime we have hamburger helper kind of stuff, we always have to have buttered bread because that's what we had growing up. And this recipe was really good. I would definitely make it again. Wednesday night, I made another recipe that we love and I've made over and over again. The original recipe is actually creamy cilantro lime chicken pasta, and I have made it with chicken before, but we also really like it with shrimp, so this night I am making it with shrimp. So I'm starting off by bringing some salted water to a boil to cook up 8 ounces of spaghetti. This time I chose to use some thin spaghetti. And then I'm also heating some olive oil in my skillet to cook my shrimp in. I have seasoned my shrimp with the cilantro lime seasoning by the brand Tones. I get it at Sam's Club. And I'm just going to cook up my shrimp until it's completely cooked through. And then I will remove it from the pan. Then I add some minced garlic, some lime juice, and some chicken broth to the pan, and I let that cook for 1 to 2 minutes on like a medium-high heat until it's slightly reduced. And then once it gets to that point, I'm going to add in some chopped cilantro and let it cook for like 30 seconds to a minute more. Then I added in 1 1/3 cups of heavy cream. The original recipe calls for heavy cream and milk, like half and half, but I just do all heavy cream because I bought a big thing of heavy cream and like to use it up. So that is what I do. So I add that in and then I bring this to a boil. And as soon as it comes to a boil, I turn off the heat and add in a bunch of Parmesan cheese. Then when my pasta was done, I added that into the sauce, and then I also added in my shrimp, and then I topped this with a little bit more Parmesan cheese. Usually I like to do a little bit more cilantro, but I was actually completely out, so I didn't have any of that to top it with. This is delicious. As I said, I've made it quite a few times, and we love it. I never would have thought to like make a creamy cilantro lime like dish like this, but it's definitely a favorite here. Thursday night I made another favorite, which is sausage, green beans, and potatoes, but this time I did it in the crock pot. So in the bottom of my crock pot, I've got 3 medium-sized potatoes that I've cubed up into about 1-inch pieces. I made them all about the same size so that they would cook evenly. And then I seasoned that with a little bit of Tony's Creole seasoning, some 21 seasoning salute from Trader Joe's, but you could use whatever your favorite all-purpose seasoning is. And then I topped that with 3 cans of green beans that I did not drain. I leave the juice, the water from the can in there. You could drain them if you want, and then just add water, whatever your preference is. And then I added some more of the 21 seasoning salute and some Knorr chicken bouillon to turn that water into broth. And then I gave that all a good stir so the seasoning could get mixed throughout the broth. And then I topped this with half a stick of butter and then 1 pound of smoked sausage. And then I put the lid on this and I let this cook on high, and it only took 4 hours on high. To go with this, I always like to do some sort of bread or roll or biscuit. This night I made some Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits to go with it. Super good. And then Andy and I always like to top ours with some hot sauce. If you made this before, like the sausage, green beans, and potatoes, and you like hot sauce, definitely put some on there because it makes it 10 times better. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that you guys got some new meal ideas. If you plan on trying any of these recipes, let me know which ones in the comments down below. And if you made it all the way to the end, please leave me a heart emoji in the comments. I just wanted to say thank you real quick to those of you that have been leaving heart emojis in the comments because you made it to the end. It really just helps kind of boost my video when you leave a comment. So even something as simple as just a heart really helps my channel. So just thank you for taking the time to do that. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a good week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.